Hey guys, Sam here, mid-morning, September 21st. And since we are on the sidelines with the majors, with Bitcoin and Ethereum, I thought we'd take a look and see if we could find any other trades that might be setting up that might be advantageous with what's happening with the sell-off here in Bitcoin. See if we could find anything that might set up and where we might learn something from analyzing it. So just following that same process that I would encourage you to consider. So I'm over here, I'm on the main list of the crypto market. And if I want to look at what's happening with regards to performance, well, now I'm referencing against Bitcoin, since Bitcoin is down today, and we know the dollar's actually up. So let's take a look and see what we can find here. Now, as I mentioned the other day, I am not looking for things that are up and rolling today and trying to chase them. I'm looking for things that are correcting in the near term to potentially set up and allow for a trade higher. So what I'm ideally looking for is something that's down today, sitting here on a Thursday, that would be down for the week, but maybe up for the month and up in terms of its longer term trend. So, just looking at it quickly, the ideal setup would be something's down for the day, down for the week, but that's strong over the longer term. So, I'm just looking at it. I'd be trying to find red, green. Can I find red, green? Okay. Well, so the first one that I see that looks good here is ARK. Okay, so it's down 2% today, 18 for the week, but for the month up 54%, and against Bitcoin on the 6 month it's up 620%. Great, just exactly what I'm looking for. So if I'm looking at a coin and I don't know it intimately, again, same process here. We'll go over to CoinGecko. I've already got it up here for you to save time. So we can look at this, and you know that I like to see things that are 50 or higher on their metric score, right? And again, that's how they're scoring it. So we can look at, clearly there's some sort of correction underway, and this is. This is a popular coin. So, here's Twitter followers, Facebook likes. You can go over to their page and see it. This is a major, definitely a contender. It's got a market cap, 290 million, right? So they're doing some things right. So let's go take a look at it. All right. So I've got it up here. Here it is against Bitcoin on the right and against the dollar on the left. All right. So let's look at it against Bitcoin first. All right, so just same process, right? We go through this the same way every time. And this happens to be a good example of trying to find the key pivots, where there's always a bit of a puzzle whenever you bring up a chart like this, looking for pivots that have proven to be important, that potentially we've got algos that are pulling off of them, so we can try and get in alignment with what they're doing, so we can just ride behind them. So if I start here, and the most rudimentary thing I would do is just go to the lowest low I can see and pull to the highest high that I've had. And look there. Okay, well, so this is kind of interesting. So potentially we're coming down here to the 50, the halfway back, which would be very close to the 200 period and this prior pivot high here. All right, so that's that's interesting to me. So potentially I've got a little buy setting up, a little buy here, a little buy window. Let's roll it out a little bit. Okay, so that's a possibility, but I want to check, if I'm looking more near term, that by itself is encouraging. But do I have anything else that I can learn from some of these other pivots? So if I go to the next one up, let's just see what did we have anything interesting here? Okay, well that's interesting. So we're up with the 382 holds it to the 23, 618. We get a reaction there, and then we're up to and even through the negative 100%. So that's kind of interesting to me. This looks like this might have been meaningful. So that's kind of interesting. So this is a pivot that's significant. So we went right to the 23 here. So look at this. So retrace to the 50, tick it a few times, boom to the 23, pull back, 618, pull back, up. We don't quite get to the negative 1, but then there's a big leg up that almost gets to the negative 1618. Right? So these are pivots that seem to be significant. So if I go here, again, I can see That, we got to the 23, there's the 100, and look at that, to the negative 618. So these seem to have some meaning. Look at that also very good. The 618 holds it, and right to the negative 23 to the tick, and then to the negative 100. And so these are meaningful pivots. So I would also want to project, if I was trying to put some sort of wave count on this, this is a little funky, but maybe this is some sort of a 1. We get a 2, then a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get an extended fifth. So I'd want to check these. I'd want to see if this did anything for me, anything meaningful there. Well, that's kind of interesting. We went, our most likely target, 62 to 175. We get right in the pocket there. Maybe this was, again, it's still there. I'd check all of these. I would want to see, can I find the key pivots? Look at that. That's interesting to me. So let me get that off. So that's whenever I see that, I want to pay attention to it. So look here. So we go from this low to this pivot where we know we had, remember we had this. We had that, right? So that 50 went to the 23 up to the negative 100. So this seems to be an important pivot. Take that off. So that doesn't happen by accident, I guess, is my point to you, right? So algo activity here is significant. So now as I references to where I might likely build a case, because I'm looking for a confluence to give me confidence in perhaps this zone. Well, if I take that off, well, if nothing else, it's just in the simplest of support and resistance, I can see I've got some sort of support lining up here because of these prior wick highs, right, which happens to overlap right here, which I know is my 50. So that's kind of interesting. So I'm gonna keep pulling to see what I can find. This, what do we get here? Okay, well, we're at the 50 now, but then look at this overlap here. We're right in the box, right in our sweet spot, our little box between the 618 and the 65, all lining up right there. So now we have an overlap. We have the overlap here of the 618, the 200, and don't forget this, right? I think this was our pull. Okay, do you see it? So now we've got the 50 all the way, right? So this always helps you. You can see where you're pulling from. So this is my pull from here. This is the all the way halfway back, lining up almost perfectly with the 618. All right, that's the kind of confluence that we're looking for. That's exactly what we're looking for to build a case that this is our next buy zone. All right, now if there's an Elliott count to be found in here, let's blow this up so it's a little easier to see. Okay, so we'd be looking for some sort of an ABC here. So maybe this is our A, big B. Okay, so now we can see, do you see this? So now we've got the 100. Here it is right here. I've got it. I'm going to change the color so you can see it a little bit better. Here's my 100. I've got it. I'm going to change it so you can see this. What can I put this in? I'll put it in the neon green. Okay, do you see that? If I blow that up, do you see the neon green right here? Right, so that's our 100% alternate price projection for what could be potentially an ABC. So we get this big lineup here, this big box. So if we want to be on the front end of it, this is our first entrance here, right at the 50 and the 618, and perhaps our stop placement here is on the other side of the 100, which happens to be a few ticks beyond the negative 65, right? Which would be a natural place for us to put our stops. And we're anticipating there's likely to be some support here because of these wick highs that were prior resistance. So we're looking for those to create some support for us. So we've got a lot of indicators here suggesting that this is a potential support area. We want to see a reaction there. We want to see, I can promise you we're going to get some reaction because of the 50. We got the 200 sitting there, and we got the overlap of 618. So just kind of a good working case of an example of how you look for opportunity where you get a confluence of technical structure here, so you can see, hey, potentially I've got overlap here where I'm likely to see algorithmic activity, and if they're buyers, we can get behind them. And where would our targets be? Right, look at that. That's some pretty good upside. So if we just try and quantify it, split the difference. Our stop's on the other side of that 100. There's 11 and almost 11 and a half to 1. If you want to tighten it up, there's 12 to 1. Call it 12 to 1. Stop's just on the other side of this little pocket here, on the other side of these wicks. Right, we're just on the other side of the 100, the A, B, C, which would be a common support zone. So we're allowing for a little bit of spike action, a little bit of stop running. We've got a nice little trade setting up here, right? 12 and a half to 1. Does that work for you? Right, so and those are right. There's going to be, of course, if we get that, there's going to be, if we come down here and we get in the market, we're going to have resistance. We're going to have to get through on the way back up at the 50 and the 618. So potentially, you get here and you've got 4.5 to 1. That's a good place to perhaps take a partial profit. What happens at the 618? Now you got 5 to 1. If you get through, there's your long-term target. It's the battle of the fibs, always the battle of the fibs. But where's the long-term trend, right? We know from our performance metrics, what has this done? What has this done in the last 6 months? Up 600%. All right, is there a trade there? Yeah, that's one I'm going to take. I like that a lot. I want to see a reaction here, but that kind of risk reward, exactly what we're looking for. Okay, guys, that'll give you a little something to work with. I'll be back for more a little bit later today. Okay, that's a wrap.